Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to Anything But Hold'em. I'm here playing the miniFTOPS Event 11 Fixed Limit Stud High Low. Of course, there's no other way that Stud High Low is ever played other than Fixed Limit, at least not that I've ever seen. But yes, we are Fixed Limit Stud High Low today. It's $22 buy-in. I won the ticket through a satellite that just completed a couple of minutes ago. It was a $5.50 buy-in, I believe it was. So yeah, we won this. So I'm pretty sure that we are in this for less than the $22, which is pretty good to be here. I'm also feeling pretty comfortable with my edge in this game, frankly. I felt pretty good about my edge in the Omaha high-low yesterday, and of course we know how that turned out. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm feeling very good about my edge here, and I'm thinking that I'm going to go pretty deep, barring really bad runs of cards. My strategy is going to be pretty typical, pretty standard, based on past high-low play, where I'm focusing mostly on my low more than my highs, letting the highs sort of work themselves out, and looking to split a lot of pots with a low, and looking to scoop pots when I manage to bank highs and lows at the same time. Of course, you never ignore good high hands, your aces, your kings, things like that. You're going to play those fairly aggressively, as you saw in that previous hand where I ended up with kings and fives. Yeah, because you're gonna scoop some high pots as well when no low comes for your opponent and he bricks his low. Probably shouldn't want to. Probably don't want to be relying on your opponent not hitting a low very often, because that's gonna end in tears for you quite a bit. But generally speaking, as you watch the board, you can sort of have a pretty good idea whether he's working on a low or not. And if it looks like he's bricking out his low draw, then yeah, start playing your highs aggressively in the plan of scooping a pot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. What else been going on in poker? I actually got some money on 08Jan2015 last night. Been hanging around in Jamie Staples' chat a lot recently, and he was wanting to exchange PokerStars money for 08Jan2015 money. And after I banked the daily the other day, I suddenly find myself with an excess of cash on PokerStars. At least, well, not a huge excess, of course, because it was only like $560, but more than is typical for my bankroll level. So I figured I would spread it around a little bit, put 100 on full tilt years to let me more comfortably play the miniFTOPS events, and transferred 100 to 888 through Mr. Staples last night. Played a couple of games there, and ended up cashing in a no limit hold'em game. They don't really have. Doesn't look like they have a ton of non-hold'em games there. There's a bit of PLO and PLO8 and NLO and NLO8 that I might end up streaming here at some point. But yeah, for the most part, I don't know how much the 888 is going to be on the stream. But yeah, so that's where I've been. This is obviously a hand that I want to play in a stud high-low. I think I'm going to come in for the full bet rather than coming in for the bring-in, because it just makes everybody, I'm clearly playing some sort of strong hand back here. I mean, I think I'm ahead for low pretty much 150% of the time here, so I'm happy to keep putting money in. I'm still going to be ahead on low, I think, most of the time. I mean, granted, Heg here could be playing a 7-5 to my 7-6, but I don't necessarily think that he's going to be playing that 7-5 very often in this spot. I think he's going to have an 8 or things back here. We got 2 pair and a 76.54. So I mean, I think that if we don't put money in the pot, we're just losing out on possible value here. Good chance we could split there. The low, we were not necessarily winning on the low there. We were. I'm pretty sure that the high was going to be good. So this is a hand I think I want to be involved in. The 7-8's obviously pretty big on the low end of things, but it can turn into straights. We've got nutted diamonds, two nutted diamonds. So I mean, I think there's there's strength here to see a fourth and probably a fifth street. And in fact, I think probably just calling the bring in is not the best move there. I should have probably raised and tried to isolate a little bit more here. I think the nine's obviously playing into our straight possibilities. It doesn't help our flush, but it helps a visible flush. So if we get another club on sixth, I think I'm going to check here, see what the other guys do. Hopefully get a free card. We don't get a free card. Do I call here? I mean, I've only got 3 cards to a low. Uh, all of my draws are backdoor at this point, really. All of my draws by 1 straight draw. So I think we're out of the pot. I mean, I don't really think there's any reason to keep throwing money in there at that point. Pair of jacks with an ace. I think this is one of those hands that looks stronger than it actually is in a high-low context. The reason for that, of course, is that the 2 jacks, you can't use either of those jacks in your low hand. So you're basically looking to draw 4 to a low hand, which means you're not going to be improving your pair of jacks. So the truth is, although this is a very strong hand in a stud-high context, in a stud-high low context, it's actually quite weak. And if you play things like that, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble down the streets, and you're going to have to find yourself either having to fold or putting money in badly on later streets, I think, an awful lot with hands like that. And at best, at the end of the day, at best, even if you hit all the cards you're looking for, you've either got a high or a low at the end of the hand. You almost never have both that you can scoop a pot with. So really, you put all that stuff together, and I think that a hand like a Jack-Jack Ace is just not something that you want to really get involved with a huge amount in a stud high-low. Three, five, six. Another one, obviously, that we want to get involved in. We certainly could raise. It's doubtful with 3 people having called the completion that we're going to get folds all the way around with it. So I think our best bet there is to see another street and then bet out, because basically there was nothing raised pre here. So bet out with our nice ace card, which can go both ways for high and low. And in fact, in our hand, it's definitely going for low. I don't know if it's going for high at this point, but it certainly could. So at 10 does not help us in any way. I think we're going to check through here, see what the other guys want to do. If we get a free card, we're happy with a free card. That's obviously just about the best card in the deck for us. And I think we're going to put money in. We're either going to take the pot down here, or we're going to get value on our low hand. We miss our, we brick out on our straight draw. There's no question that we're taking the low, I think, at this point. And it's not even really a think. I was taking the low all the time. I wasn't taking the high, but again, you want to be in those because you want to be splitting those, and we bank our straight, one of our straight cards there on the open-ended straight, and we're scooping that pot, and we're up to 8,000 chips or whatever, 7,000 chips. No, 6,500 chips, but still, it's an extra bit of chips in our stack. Let's have a look at the lobby. We're coming up on the break here in a few minutes. There's obviously still late reg happening here. 258 people have registered so far, 252 left in it. That means there's 32 places being paid out with $1,367.40 currently up top for first. The min cash is going to get you $41.44 at the moment. Now, currently, nine queen. Yeah, I'm getting out of the way with that one. Again, it's another one you could play, but it's going to get you in trouble a lot. So we're sitting 32nd right now, which is right on the money bubble. Not that that's relevant at this point in the tournament, really. But yes, we're sitting right on the money bubble with our stack size. Hello, hello to everybody out there watching. Welcome to Anything But Hold'em. We are going to take down this fixed limit stud high low today. I think got a really good feeling about this. I'm feeling like I've got an edge in this field, in this game, and feeling pretty good. Come pretty close to doubling my chip stack since I sat down. It's been pretty good so far. I don't think there's been hugely questionable play yet, but there's certainly been some that's I've kind of figured that I've gotten a couple extra bets out of people that I shouldn't necessarily have gotten from them. But that's cool. I'm not going to complain about that. It's possible, at least on one of the hands. Obviously, didn't start the stream right at the beginning of the tournament. I didn't enter at the beginning of the tournament. I was playing a sat, and I got in like an hour late reg, and then I played a few hands before I actually got the stream up and running. So yeah, we were in, and I think there's at least one case where I gave away at least one bet that I didn't need to, and that was in a bad situation. But I suppose it's going to happen once in a while. You can't, if you expect to make, perfect decisions all the time, you're probably going to be disappointed. I suppose I could have played the ace 4-10, actually, now that I look at that. The 10's obviously a throwaway card for your low, but, it's not horrible. Ace 4 is 2 cards to the nuts. 2 cards to the nuts is rarely a bad thing in any poker game. Granted, it's 2 cards to half the nuts, but still. I suppose half the nuts is better than no nuts. Thadian, how's it doing, man? Oh, that's a shame, buddy. You got a small stack. Yeah, I've actually got reasonably lucky with my cards, but I've been in a couple of situations where I think people have given me a couple of bets that they didn't need to give me to, which is always nice. This is one I definitely feel like I should be able to go deep in. I feel like stud high low is probably at this point my best game. So I really do feel like this is one that I should, quote unquote, go deep in. Pair of deuces and the deuce 6 for the low. I think I'm going to see a street and just see how that develops. If we hit a 3-4-5, something in that range, we're going to like it a lot. Hit a deuce, obviously, we're pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this now. I've got a 6-3 deuce low, and I've still got a pair, which could be ahead. It's not going to be ahead a lot, but, any pair is going to be good at this point. A reasonable amount in a game like stud. Now, that queen on fifth obviously is not what we were looking for. Hammer, good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. Oh yeah, well it's probably for the best that you missed the FTOP stream yesterday, Hammer. We busted pretty quickly before even the late reg was out. It did not go well. It just nothing was happening for us. Lovely. So we bricked out our low, we bricked out our highs, and I'm playing with a pair of deuces at the moment and no low. That's a lovely way to find yourself on 7th Street in a stud high low hand. Pair of threes with a queen. I think that's one that's a pretty weak holding. Thank you, Hammer. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am seriously hoping to go deep in this one today. You'll notice the Elron Talking Head is back in business again today as well. I had a few technical difficulties with him yesterday, so I had to shut him off. But he's back in business today and functional and working. He's got to earn his keep somehow, doesn't he? Alrighty, so that is break time now. I'm going to mute my microphone and head off and take care of some things, and I'll be back. Alrighty, I'm back a bit early from the break this time. Yeah, Thadian, time to turn it around. Still lots of time. Still lots of time before this thing ends. I mean, I think we still got registration for another hour or so anyways, don't we? What does the lobby say? What does the lobby say? Late registration through level 8, and we're currently in level 5. 15-minute levels, so yeah, we still got another 45 minutes of late reg at least, so I'm guessing that late reg is going for another hour anyways. So lots of time left, lots of fresh stacks to come in that you can scoop up, Fadian. Nice to see everyone back again. We're now in episode 4 of season 2 for Anything But Hold'em here. Having some fun with the non-Hold'em poker. These FTOPs are going to be great. I've pretty much guaranteed my schedule is going to be good for the 25 game next week. So y'all are going to have a chance to watch some 25 game poker here on stream, which is, of course, I was going to say it's going to be an absurd amount of fun. I don't know that for a fact because I've never played 25 game poker before, but I can't imagine that 25 game poker would be anything but an absurd amount of fun, frankly. So yeah, looking forward to that a ton. So that's gonna be a huge amount of fun, I think. There's a British car program that I like to watch called Top Gear, and one of the hosts on there, Richard Hammond, when he talks about supercars, He always uses terms like bonkers to describe supercars because, as he puts it, they're like the most absurdly exaggerated version of anything that a normal car would be. That they're just completely bonkers. The 25 game mixed game tournament to me is the supercar of mixed game poker tournaments because it is just so absurdly exaggerated from anything that a normal poker tournament would be that I mean it's just going to be an insane amount of fun. I think I got it's going to be I can't imagine. I can't imagine a way to have more fun playing poker than that 25 game is going to be. So we are definitely in like Flynn on that one. I'm going to try to sat in for sure, but I'm going to pay. I'm going to buy into that, buddy, whether I sat in or not, I think. Because, yeah, that looks like it's going to be a ton of fun, I think. Alrighty, so an ace-4 queen. With the 4 up, I think that this is a completion most of the time. We are, other than the deuce, we are the low card showing for low hands, so I'm pretty happy with that. Not real happy with the jack, and I think that even though they can't see the queen, I just think we're too weak at this point to want to be continuing here, so I'm going to fold out. Yeah, absolutely, Hammer. There's no question. I mean, when I'm still pretty much on a high from the daily the other day, that was pretty sweet. So as I said when I first came on, it's more money than I've ever had on PokerStars at any one time. So I figured that I wanted to move it around a little bit and spread it out some. So put $100 over here on tilt to play the FTOPS series with more comfortably, and then I talked to Staples, Jamie Staples, and traded 100 stars bucks for 188 bucks. So I've got 100 over at 888 as well. So. So yeah, we're gonna play a bit more 888. There's not a ton of non-hold'em over on 888, but the hold'em, I played some hold'em last night, and it feels really soft. It looks really soft, so it's gonna be fun to play some hold'em over there, I think. Really no point in getting involved with the Jack 3 Queen there. I don't think. That's gonna end in tears an awful lot. And tears are not what we're going for in this game. What we're going for is a large pile of chips in front of us. That is the objective, of course. Oh, that sucks, Hammer. Hope you feel better. The flu's horrible because there's very little you can do about it once you get it, and it just makes you feel like crap. It just knocks the crap out of you, and it's just a horrible thing. So I do sincerely hope you feel better soon, Hammer. 8-4 Jack. I think we can get out of the way with that. Not really much point in. Really much point in throwing chips away with a hand like that, I don't think. As usual at this time of day, I'm also playing a PSO Premier League match off the stream on the side here. I don't imagine it's going to take a huge amount of my brain power over there, but I'm doing reasonably well in that this month. I'm in the top 50 of the monthly standings, which is worth some cash at the end of the month if I can maintain that. And yeah, I've been doing pretty well. I was actually third at one point early in the month, but that didn't last very long. Fun. Fun, fun, fun. Oh, that's too bad, Fadian. Yeah, I was worried I was going to have to work for it, but I managed to finagle the day off. So I'm able to get in for the 25 game. That was one of those ones that I just, had to, I was going to do everything that I could to work out a way to get that day off of work. So this one I could have lived without. I managed to get this one off work as well for today. This one I would have lived without if at the end of the day I would have said, give me next Thursday, and I'll work every other day for the rest of the month if you give me next Thursday because I want to play that 25 game. So after a real flurry of activity, let's actually slow down a little bit on the miniFTOPS here. We've not been getting a ton of hands that we can want to put a lot of chips in with, so it's just been kind of slowly watching what's happening on the rest of the tables. Gonna have a quick look at where our good friend of the stream, Jamie Staples, is hanging out. He's sitting in 190th position now. Gonna rail his table off the stream, I think. He is sitting in 191st position. Where is he here? There he is. With a chip stack of a 3,094. Go, 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 Jamie. See you at the final table, buddy. Fadian, that sucks, buddy. Sadly with Stud, it's one of those games that's super frustrating because when you're going badly and the cards aren't coming to you, you're putting money in good on 3rd, 4th, and 5th Street, and then it just all goes to hell, right? And there's nothing you can do about it because you've already got your money in there. So it could be a horrible feeling when you're playing Stud and it's just going to hell on the later streets. Lomex, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. I know you only came in here because you're hoping they're going to put you beside me in the Premier League again if you're in my chat, right? Because I think the last 2 times you've been in here when I've been playing a Prem on the side, it just put you at the same table as me. Yeah, that's the way my day went yesterday in the Omaha High-Low Fat. Just everything that I tried to do, the cards just didn't come right. I'd be in with an ace, deuce, king, king, and a deuce flops to kill my low, and a queen flops because, of course, I'm against the guy with the pair of queens. He's now got a set of queens, and that's just the way that the whole day just went the way the whole day went. So it goes that way sometimes. Not much you can do. I'll have to look at the weekend schedule. I'm not sure what's on for miniFTOPS over the weekend. I don't think I plan to play any of the miniFTOPS Hold'em events. I might play that $11 uh, event too that has all like the 1,000 day ones or whatever it has. I mean that's obviously an exaggeration, but it has a bunch of day ones. Um, and it's next weekend that the final day 2 and day 3 and stuff are. So I might play that $11 one, but I think that's the only. Um, yes, Hammer. It is now season 2. I started season 2 at the beginning of 2015. My first broadcast in 2015 was season 2, episode 1. Um, and I lost a $1.10 Rouse tournament in it. So the tournament was off to a wonderful flop on our face. A season off to a wonderful flop on our face. But then episode 2 saw us take down a $27 daily fixed limit Omaha high-low tournament on Stars for $560. So we kind of got up and dusted ourselves off pretty well for episode 2, I think, of season 2. Episode 3 was another one where we busted out real quick. So here we are in episode 4, and if the pattern continues, I guess that means that I win this $22 miniFTOPS game because I bust out early, I win. I bust out early, I win. That's the pattern, right? So there we go. A7-9 with the 7-9 of diamonds. It's obviously not nutted diamonds, but they are connected, which is potentially powerful depending on what you get. But I don't think it's really strong enough in this spot to want to be involved because my low is going to brick out an awful lot on that. And when it doesn't brick out, it's going to look stronger than it is, and it's going to get me in trouble. So I think just getting out of the way is going to be my best decision there. A fair bit. A fair bit of the time. I absolutely could raise this. And if we were playing Raz, I would be raising that pretty much all the time in that spot. But of course, it wouldn't have been the 2 that brought in. But yeah, it's not going to work out well in a high-low context an awful lot for me. Yeah, it's really bizarre. I mean, the odds of that when you're talking about a 500-person tournament, the odds of that are pretty darn slim. Lomix. Pair of aces with a 6. Like you're always playing a hand like this, even just on the strength of the pair of aces, you're playing this hand an awful lot, but with the low draw as well. The question is, do you raise or flat? The capping bets when you only have 3 cards in stud context is a very risky move. And yes, there's a big reward at the end when you can build up the pots and they go well for you. But it really is risky because you don't have a hand for another 2 cards at an absolute minimum. So I think that calling there, seeing what happens, is the way to go. I think now that we're now that we're heads up against Deffler, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see him playing a pair of kings and calling us down at this point and giving us a big pot that we take, or folding when he decides that we have aces. Bring in with the deuce 3 queen. So queen high hearts, deuce three for low. That's really about all this hand has going for it. The deuce three for low is obviously pretty good. Two cards to the nuts. Two cards to the nut low, I should say. Of course, it's not the nuts nuts. It's half the nuts, um, but it's never going to be a terrible spot to start from. The third heart is always a nice thing to see. I don't think I have enough strength in my hand to be wanting to inflate this pot by betting, but I equally don't think that I'm folding anything at this point unless betting starts going crazy and people are like, capping the thing up. But for 100, I'm absolutely seeing Fifth Street to see what comes. That 8 does play into my low, and looking at the other hands out there, the only low that I'm really concerned potentially about would be Shavy. So I think we're check calling one more street at least just to see what comes on 6th for the low draw. We're definitely in the low. There's no question that we're calling we're calling 6th here. Unless again it starts going crazy with super. I don't see it. I don't see that happening. The 6 here is a little bit worrisome because that means that he could now be playing a 6 low potentially, which beats us obviously. So we're now playing an 87 532 for low, and we're playing Bupkis for high basically. So I think we're check calling because I think the low's gonna. Here's the problem. I think that Shavy's gonna beat us on low a reasonable amount. Yeah, let me stop and think about this for a second. Um, yeah, I mean with an 87 here, I just don't think my low is ever good. Now that I look at this situation, um, yeah, I just don't think that my low is ever good there. Oh, wow, my low was good because he was playing a set of 4s. Well, there you go. There you go. That was a incorrect decision there. Although I don't know if it was an incorrect. I mean, it obviously results. When you look at the results, it was an incorrect decision. But when I'm looking at 6-4 deuce on his board, and I've got no high hand fall back on, I just don't think that calling the 87 low there is gonna pay off enough for me to think. Of course, I mean, the odds at that point are just massive, which is always the case in fixed limits. So that's always skews any math that you wanted to run on the calculation, because yeah, it's going to say, well, you're getting 20 to 1 odds, so of course you're going to call. You call with um, if there's a 5% chance that he's bluffing, then you have to call. Um, so I don't know. It certainly is it's a pretty it's a pretty close spot, I think there. Um, so I think checking, see another street is worthwhile here. We're obviously still drawing to a low. He's obviously still drawing to a low as well. I'm going to rep that queen helps us. I mean, I might have gotten a fold a lot of times there. We hit our low. He might also have hit a low, but I think that we get folds enough here, even though we don't have a high hand. I think we get folds enough here if we put the bet out rather than checking like that, where we may not have deserved to win that pot. To be perfectly honest, at least not all of that pot. We deserve to win the low for sure, I think. But um, so I think that's one of those spots where, even though I know I don't have the best hand, I'm putting that bet out there for value, and it's value even though I expect it to get folds because I'm value pushing out a hand that might have an ace high or something to beat me for the high. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but it feels to me like I'm value betting when I do that, and that it's value even when somebody folds there, because I'm pretty sure that my high is beat. Queen high is almost never going to win in a situation in a stud situation. So I think now that he's playing a potential low and we are not, we need to check back. That pair of sixes gives us some high power, but I don't necessarily think we want to even think that we're very strong on high. I don't think we can go anywhere because we're drawing to a very good low, but we also don't want to go too crazy because at this point there's a good chance that we're behind in both hands. That means that I think we're ahead because I mean he obviously could be playing a 5, he could be on the nuts for low, but I think the 76 is going to be the best low hand here a lot. The pair of sixes is not going to be the best high hand a lot, but it's going to get some of his potential high hands to fold. So, oh, yes, he took the kings. So, um, again, that was a spot where the bet was for value because I can get weaker high hands to fold, and maybe even a pair of kings, depending on the person who it is, because they could be seeing me with 4, uh, or they could be expecting me to show up with 2 pair there. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that in that spot, yes, when you go back and look at results oriented, it was a bad fold, but I don't think it was a bad fold. I think I look at that board, I have to fold that board because it's a very good bet by Shazzy. It's one of those bets that I like to make where I'm trying to fold out the person who's going to be marginal on the hand that they're holding, right? So it was an awesome bet on their part, which is something that I noted in the back of my head when it happened there because it's that he's definitely somebody that I'm gonna keep my eye on and stay away from for the most part. He's not somebody that I'm gonna try to run big bluffs on or anything like that because he's definitely got his head in this game and he's looking at the cards and he knows where he is in the hand for the most part. So I think that bet was very specifically intended to fold out somebody who had a low hand like mine. And in fact, we're going to mark Shazzy with a little bit of a player note that says strong betting patterns. What that also means is that we're probably going to have to consider calling him in a lot of marginal spots where, unfortunately, some of the time we're going to call and lose both ends because our marginal one gets beat by him. But having seen him make plays like that, we now know that our marginal lows or even marginal highs potentially are going to be ahead of his range in those spots. Um, so yeah, definitely somebody that we want to keep our eye on, and somebody who we can potentially make money off of in those marginal spots. But I also think it's somebody who we can't really pull anything over on. Yeah, exactly, Hammer. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is that when somebody's going to take half the pot from me and I can push them off, then it's value even though they're not calling. It's one of the sort of quirks of the split pot games is that you can get value by making people fold. I don't really think that there's a similar spot in a straight high or straight low game where you can get value by making people fold out. Um, because it's either um, it's either a bluff or you wish they would call you in a straight high or straight low game. In the split pot games, it can be a little bit of both, right? So folding, folding the 8-6 queen. Let's have a look at the lobby. I've still got Jamie Staples selected. What table are we at? 23. Let's have a look at this one. That doesn't actually tell me where I am. Okay, so I have to go out here. Let's do that. Let's find Elron. 6900. We're sitting 53rd at the moment. Not a terrible spot to be in. Only got up to 300 entrants now. Still only paying 32 places. That's interesting. I thought it'd be more than a 10% payout in a tournament like this, but apparently not. $1,590 for first place at the moment, so pretty nice prize up top. Would certainly kick the pants out of my 560 win from the daily the other day. Make for a pretty darn nice week, I think, if that were to happen. Yeah, I suppose, and I mean that's certainly true, Hammer, in the no limit high game context. But well, yeah, and I suppose I guess the other way is always going to be called a bluff because you're betting with a hand that you know isn't the best hand, and you're trying to fold out somebody who you think has a better hand. So yeah, I guess technically, technically you're right. It's really never a value bet there. It really kind of is it's always a bluff, um, because that's the definition of a bluff is making a bet when you don't think you have the best hand in order to get somebody to fold a better hand, right? So I hit a pair of threes. It's obviously not great for our low possibilities. I think check calling is probably going to be what happens here most of the time. The fact that he's leading into me when I pair my three there has two possible interpretations, I think. Either he's got a pair that beats my three, beats my threes, or he's got a low and he thinks that I'm bricking my low, and so he wants to. And that I think that that's more the possibility here. I think my threes are actually going to be good here sometimes. That's probably a silly thing for me to think, but I think my threes are actually going to be good for high here sometimes. Um, it's just one of those times. He could clearly have a flush here. Pair of queens. I think my threes are going to be good here some of the time. Oh, not this time though, with pair of aces behind. Roger that. Good hand. I still stand by my assertion that my threes are going to be good there some of the time for high, and that he's still going to be betting, trying to rep the three diamonds and trying to fold out marginal high hands. He does not have to have aces in the hole there. He does not have to be nearly that strong, right, to be taking that line in that hand, I don't think. You always feel kind of silly when you go into a big long diatribe about a hand like that, and the guy turns over aces. But you know, it's the way it's going to happen sometimes. You can't control what the other player's playing. How about we call it a semi-value bluff bet, Hammer? Alrighty, 6-4 for low, and all those pretty diamonds. I think we're definitely gonna see a street or two here. Not a lot of other diamonds out. I actually should have been paying more attention up here. I didn't see what these two guys folded, but I didn't see a ton of other diamonds out here. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I'm seeing a street here pretty much all the time. Paired the 4, he's ahead of us, so betting here is a bit silly. Our low is getting really bad at this point. I think seeing fifth is probably what we have to do just for the long-term value of the situation. But if we don't see a diamond, I think we're out. We don't see a diamond. Does play into a low, but we have to go run a runner, low low to get it. That said, do I think it's worth chasing in this situation? Um, I mean, I think I've got outs to, 5 or 6 cards twice, but I have to hit them both times. Nah, it's probably not worth. It's probably not worth. It's probably not worth the chase in that situation. I'm not going to hit it often enough to make it worth. Yeah, free roll and bluff. There we go. Actually, yeah, that's actually a very good. That's actually a very good term for it. Free roll and bluff. I like that because yeah, I'm pretty much free roll on the low, or at least I feel I am. I mean, obviously didn't have the nut low there, so I'm not free rolling exactly, but I'm pretty sure that I've got the. I'm pretty sure that I'm taking the low hand there. How our buddy Jamie is doing over on. Oh, he's having a rough day. He's down to 1,644 chips. Poor guy. This can be a really brutal game. When it's going well for you, it feels like it's super easy, but when it's going, it just is so brutal when it's going badly for you. It just is really not a fun game to play when it's going badly for you. I think I like the free roll and bluff term. I think that's gonna have to go into the lexicon. FRB, free roll and bluff. Deuce 4 king with the 2 hearts, second nut hearts. I don't think it's worth being involved in at this point. I think we need to chill a bit. Alrighty, so we're in the last level of late registration. 13 minutes left for late registration. So if you're going to come join me in this tournament, now's the time to do it. By the time you hear this, there will be 10 minutes of late registration left in the tournament. So jump on in to the stud high low. Water's still reasonably good. We are at 150, 300. You get a 3,000 chip stack when you jump in. So what that means is you come in with 10 big bets, which is not a horrible place to be. You can certainly sit down at a cash stud high low table with 10 big bets and do pretty well for yourself. Just a matter of picking the hand that you put your chips in on, because you're pretty sure that your chips are going to go in, fairly quickly in that situation. 7-8 queen. Even though the 7-8 diamonds are nicely connected there, I don't think it's really something that I need to be heavily involved in. King 7 Jack. Not something I want to be involved in there particularly. Down to 110th now, since we lost that last pot. Before out the Jack 8-7. Again, things have slowed down a bit here. Baldnap is all in with his ace. Probably actually should have paid more attention to that and probably been in on this big family pot, see if we can knock a bunch of people out. Yeah, I know. You know, you got to feel sorry for the guy. He only wins for 9K yesterday, and now he's having his issues in this. And actually, he's just looks like he's just won a big pot. I wasn't paying attention to the table, but I look back now and he's got 2469. So he's obviously just won something relatively large. Cool, cool, cool. It was funny. He was so excited yesterday after the stream. He was like a little puppy, and his brother, the personal assistant, tweeted out a photo of him passed out on the couch about an hour afterwards. And it was just like, you know, a little puppy that gets so excited and then passes out. It was kind of the way it looked. Pair of eights with a 9 and diamonds. I think in a stud high context, you're going to play that a lot, but I just think here, yeah, I just think here that there's a lot of reasons not to play it. Alrighty, 6-3 ace. We're definitely going to be involved in that one, I think. Going to complete to 150. So we took the free card on fourth. I decided to bet decided to bet on fifth because I paired my queen, and he's now re-raised me when he hits the ace. I think that means an awful lot that he's hit a low hand, and he wants to get me off my what appears to only be a high hand. But it could also mean that he's paired his ace, and he knows he's ahead of my queens. So it could be either of those possibilities, and I'm certainly aware of the possibility that he could be doing this with a pair of aces. But I think that my queens are going to be ahead far too often for me to want to fold at this stage. But again, I don't want to be terribly aggressive. I don't want to give him the chance to re-raise me or anything. So it's just going to be a check call situation here pretty much all the time. So I'm pretty happy with the way that that hand ended up. That's sort of the way that I expected it to go. I think he wanted me. The reason he bets so big on fifth there, re-raises me, is that he wants me to fold my what looks like a potentially marginal high hand there when he bets on his ace. But it just doesn't make as much sense as that ace completing a low draw for him and trying to push me off a big pot. Yeah, I was just thinking. I'm not entirely sure that Jamie would appreciate me referring to him as like a little puppy, but it's what can I say? I haven't played any satellites for dailies yet today. I was going to focus on this miniFTOPS to see what happens with it. I might start playing some satellites in a bit for the stud high-low that plays in the dailies, which I think is 3:15 my time. I would normally play sats for the horse and the Omaha high-low as well. But I think given that I'm in this stud high-low, I would want to just focus on playing stud high-low today. So I think I would restrict if I do play any stats for the dailies, I think I'll restrict them to just playing the stud high-low stats, unless and until I bust out of this, which I don't plan to do. So I plan to bust everybody else out of this and end up with all the chips at the end. That is what I plan to do. That's always what I plan to do, of course. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's always what you plan to do. And there are times when it does work out that way, as we witnessed earlier this week, taking down the daily fixed limit Omaha high-low on PokerStars. I actually feel like those are fairly prestigious mixed game tournaments, actually. I mean, I don't really feel like... I feel like anybody who thinks they're a good mixed game player is going to want to be involved in those tournaments on a regular basis. So the fields are always going to be full of people that know what the heck's going on with the game that they're involved in. So I really feel like, being able to go deep or take one of those down is something I'm pretty proud of. So I'm pretty happy with that. I don't want to, humble brag or anything like that, but it's definitely something. I'm a lot more proud of that than just taking down some random $27 tournament. I don't know why that is, but I'm just a lot more proud of taking down something that's called the Daily Omaha High-Low than I would be about just taking down a random $27 Omaha High-Low tournament. Like I took down that $22 stud high-low at the beginning of the tournament, and I mean I was happy about it, obviously, but it wasn't something that it wasn't the same feeling for me. Right, so I've been raised, and there's been a call with the ace deuce. I think I've got a C4 street at least here. Still working on a low. Nobody else is working on a great low. Obviously, we got our jack back here, but they don't know that. So I think that I could bet and try to fold out. I don't think I'm going to fold out anyone with a reasonably good high hand at this point. So I think checking back for the free card is really the way to go here. The free card does not work for us either to connect with our hand or even to look like it connects with our hand. Sort of the only thing that we could make credible there would be some sort of straight with the 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, something like that. But I think checking behind for another free card is the way to go. And we now have the open-ended. So, I mean, I think now that we're drawing to... Are we drawing? No, we're not drawing to a low at all. I think we're drawing... Obviously, the open-ended straight draw is a draw. Well, not obviously, but I'm pretty sure it's ahead of... so I don't think we're drawing dead for sure against Pylusha's high. We hit our straight draw, so that's always good. You know, hitting your hand is always good. I think there's a good chance that Pylusha has bricked a low and is only playing a pair of aces, or even two pair, like aces and kings. So I think the re-raising here is the thing to do. Like I said, pretty sure he bricked his low. So, yeah, that's a spot where you want to re-raise there, because you're going to get called by the guy with two pair with the aces a lot in that situation, even though he's bricked his low. So, binkage! That was a nice little bit of binkage. That puts us up to 64th overall, so we're still not back in the money yet. Right, late reg is going to be closing very, very, very soon. Less than a minute left in level 8, and registration ends at the end of level 8. 317 people currently. I will update that once we finish, once registration closes, although you can obviously see the lobby on screen, I guess, now that I'm looking at my screen. So I don't really need to tell you what it says, but on the other hand, I also need to find ways to fill the dead air noise that happens when I'm not speaking. So, yeah, I probably will actually repeat myself and be redundant and, you know, repetitively say the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, I think that's true, Hammer. I absolutely think that playing on stars, it's like playing the Premier League in football or the NHL in hockey. It's the top. You're always going to be playing against the top players on the other side of the field. That matters to me. It's weird for me. I mean, I obviously want to make a profit at poker. That's obviously that's always got to be your objective if you play poker. But playing against the best in the world matters more to me than taking a bunch of money off of people that I'm way better than, if that makes any sense. Now, as you saw, I mean, I'm certainly not above jumping onto Full Tilt and playing in the new to the game Raz games to take that money if they're gonna let me do it. But at the same time, I value and I'm always going to be going over to places like Stars and playing in those tournaments where I know that the very best people online in Horse and Stud and things like that are going to be playing it because I think that's vital to your improvement as a poker player. If all you ever do is sit on the tables where you dominate and you just take money off of people that are way worse than you, you never get any better. And that's really what I'm looking at here. I don't, I mean, obviously I want to make a bunch of money, but I want to get better at poker, and I think that I get better at poker by sitting down against people that are better than me, not by sitting down against people that are worse than me. So that's really my philosophy on playing poker. I'm not going to learn anything from people that I dominate and that are way worse than me. And yes, I might lose a bunch of money if I sit down across from Daniel Negreanu. But if I'm paying attention, I'm damn sure going to learn something from him if I sit down against Negreanu, right? So that's kind of the way I look at it. I do tend to think, in general, that the mixed game fields are softer than the no limit hold'em fields by a fairly wide margin. Um, and I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I can uh, play at a higher level in the mixed games than I can at the no limit hold'em games. It's less because I'm really good at the game, and more because, relatively speaking, the other people that I'm playing against aren't as much better than me as they are in the no limit hold'em. If that makes any sense. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of the mixed game, and why. One of the other reasons, one of the selfish reasons that I wanted to focus this stream on the mixed game side is simply because I think that the edges are bigger because people don't play the games nearly as well on average. So if you can come up with a RAS strategy, for example, that seems optimal, it can be pretty profitable for you in a much bigger way, I think, than if you come up with a no limit hold'em strategy that you think is optimal, because that's the edge that you're going to get from that optimal strategy is going to be so small. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's just the way it is. I also like the other games. I mean, I just have a blast playing, having variety in what I'm doing in poker. I think if I had to play no limit hold'em all the time, I think I'd have to quit poker at some point because it would just get mind-numbingly boring to play no limit hold'em all the time. Ace 10 Jack, that's something that you'd be interested in, obviously in a stud high context, but I think in a high low context, you're just going to get rid of it all the time. I need to find myself a HUD that works for this stuff. So one of the things I love about the new Javaro HUD that I'm using that only works on stars at the moment, but it's collects data for every single game that we play. Um, Including Raz and Deuce to Seven and Stud. I played an 8 game and it was collecting data for every single game that we played in that 8 game. So it's the first HUD that I've ever seen that does that. Everything else is exclusive to No Limit Hold'em and PLO that I've seen, and Omaha. I've never seen one that does the stud games or the draw games. But this one was working for Deuce to Seven. This one was working for Raz and Stud High Low. Haven't tried it on a Badoogie because I haven't seen it on a Badoogie yet, but I'll bet you it's going to work on a Badoogie as well. So it's really good. Yeah, well, Hammer, and I think if I was a big loser, money wise, I would probably feel differently about wanting to play the best players. But I bankroll manage pretty well, and I'm also not. I mean, I'm rarely going to be at a level where I'm sitting down next to Negreanu. It's actually happened. I actually did play on an online table with Negreanu last year, I think, in a W Coupe. that I want a ticket into, and of course I sit down on this table, and Real Kid Poker is the guy that's on the button when I'm on the big blind. I mean, how does that how does that make you feel when it's your sort of first above $200 buy-in on an online table, and you've won a satellite to it, and you're all excited to get in, and boom, there you are with one of the best pros in the world sitting on the button when you're on your big blind. Um, but it's a lot of fun. But I'm not going to be sitting down against somebody like him and losing $10,000 to someone like him. I'm going to be buying into the games like the $27 ones that are within my bankroll. Well, I'm actually not going to even be buying into those because I only won 20 buy-ins at that level. I'm going to be still trying to sat into those dailies. I don't have a bankroll yet to buy right into them. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I think the bankroll management really is the important key there. Yeah, actually, I think that makes sense as well. That the limit games um, get a bit more of an edge because of the more smaller pots. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that the smaller edges, getting the extra bet in here and there. Getting your opponent to call the extra bet a couple of times when he shouldn't is really is significant in limit games, and that's where your little edges translate into big jumps on the leaderboard. Right, so we're on break here. I'm gonna run off and do some stuff. Registration is closed. Everybody that's going to be playing this game is playing it now. 317 people at the end of the day, 230 remaining. I am currently sitting in 88th spot. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Well, thanks for being here on season 2 of Anything But Hold'em. I'm out. Alrighty, I am back here on Anything But Hold'em. Going into hour 3 of the miniFTOPS event number 11, fixed on my stud high low. I guess hour 2.5. Started at 10:30. It is now 1 p.m. my time. So I said before the break, registration is closed now. 317 total entrants, 32 places paid out. Pretty nice little chunk of change up there on top, $1,680.10. Min cash in 30-second spots gonna get us $50, so not too bad for min cash. I think with the suited ace, we're gonna have to get involved here. I think and the ace 5 is obviously 2 cards to the nut low. I think we need to see at least another street. King of spades, obviously not a card we're thrilled with. Go see one more. No, I don't. I was gonna see one more street, but I don't even think that. I mean, it's really I'm drawing dead on one of my hands if I continue here. I'm either drawing dead high or drawing dead low, depending on what comes on Fifth Street. So I just think it's need to get out of the way. All right, Hammer. Well, I hope you come back with your drinks and popcorn. With any luck, we're gonna be here for a while, grinding this sucker down to the end. I told Jamie to meet me at the final table, and looks like he is doing his best to make that shit happen, because he's almost doubled his stack again. Now he's up to 41.89. So go, Jamie. We'll see you at the final table, buddy. Three cards under 8 and all of them clubs is definitely something that I want to be involved in, at least for a street or two. Three cards under 8, 2 nut low cards, and 3 clubs is pretty much always going to be something that you get involved with. The fact that we don't have the ace of clubs is less significant in a stud context than it is in a Omaha context, especially when you're not seeing the other person working on an ace high flush. Obviously, not having the ace in Omaha could be deadly. Not having the ace here is not that big of a deal because you're not working off the same board, is basically the difference. This is obviously a good low card for us. It opens up some straights as well that were very, very, very backdoor before that. Not surprised he called there. This ace of clubs is the gin card for us, best card in the deck for us. It completes our low. It gives us the strongest club draw we can get for high. Even if he's playing a diamond, even if he's playing a full diamond flush at this point, which clearly he wasn't, or else he wouldn't have folded. But even if he had been, with the king showing, I've just hit the ace there, so my flush is always going to be better than him unless he's got a buried ace of diamonds. So yes, no worries. Glad to have you back, Hammer. And again, I forgot to change the stream delay before I went live today. So. Well, I appreciate that. Hammer. It's definitely one of the games that I enjoy the most. I think I like the stud variants in general. I even like stud high a lot. I like it a ton. I just am really not very good at it. But it doesn't mean I don't like it. But I really do like the stud variants. I don't know. There's something. I think maybe there's something that appeals to my traditional side about 7-card stud. It really kind of feels like I'm sitting in a oak walled, smoky back room somewhere, uh, playing with a young Doyle or something like that, right? It really feels really has a nice nostalgic feel to it when I'm playing 7-card stud for some reason. One of the big things I'm looking forward to actually in the 25 game is getting to play some 5-card stud, which is, of course, the granddaddy of all poker games. I think that's the first variant that ever came out. Um, 5-card stud. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I've never played 5-card stud online, and I think it's going to be fun to play that on when it rolls around the rotation on the 25 game. I have to go back and look through the list of games again. I'm pretty sure there's got to be games in there that I don't even know how to play at this point. So I'm gonna have to kind of work that out on the fly. Um, there's not a bad history of that though. I've heard a couple of stories from the WSOP where guys go into things like Raz and stuff tournaments having never played them before and end up final tabling them and things like that. So um, I'm pretty sure that that's happened to Helmuth in the first Raz tournament he jumped into. It was literally the first time he'd played Raz, and he got stupidly deep in it. I don't think that was the one that he won his Raz bracelet in, but I think he got stupidly deep in it. So 3 clubs again. We're obviously not as good for low, but I think we're going to be seeing 4th Street all the time here. 4th Street does not connect with our flush draw. It sort of connects with the Jack Queen for a straight, but not in any direct way. So I think getting out of the way on 4th here is the thing to do and save yourself some bets. Uh, with this stack here, it's pretty clear that he's going all in, so we're gonna have needed to go, and that's just a strong hand. That's gonna take the low, but he gets the high. This is a hand that I'm definitely getting involved with in a, well, I'm probably getting involved with this in any stud context, whether it's Raz, stud high low, or stud high. I think that this is a hand that I'm probably playing, frankly. It's got too many possibilities, at least to see third or fourth on. I think at this point in a high context, the hand becomes very weak, but in the low context, it's still in the Raz kind of thing. It's still something that I'm valuing. I'm betting here. Obviously, we've paired the 5. We know we don't have a low, but they don't know that. It's an 8, 8. We could be seeing an 8, and we're just improving our high hand now. So I think again, putting money in is the way to go. He does not necessarily have a low at this point. We just hit our low, so we're actually. I think we're scooping this pot. I think this. I think this is scoopage. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'd feel more comfortable going live on a lower buy-in thing. I mean, I think that the odds of one of these guys finding out about and coming in and watching the stream are much bigger than it is when I'm playing a random, $10 tournament or something like that, for sure. So ace deuce four for low. I'm kind of ignoring my buried king there. I think I'm definitely going to put money in looking at these boards. That's obviously not a card I was looking for. And I think I'm slowing down. I'm probably giving up at this point now that I've basically bricked that because Chris could already have a made low, and if he doesn't have a made low, he's drawing into a pretty decent one. I've obviously got great low cards, but I'm still basically needing to go runner to hit a low with this, and that runner is never going to bring me a high, or rarely going to bring me a high. So I think I'm just not. I'm never going to win this pot. 569, definitely something you could look at in a situation like this. It's pretty close. It can go either way. You can certainly find reasons to fold this hand. You can certainly find reasons to play this hand. I think folding it is the way to go. I'd like to see, and although this is going to sound weird with my play the low strategy, if it was more of a 7-8-9 or a 6-7-9, I'd be more interested in playing it for the straight possibilities on the high than I would with the 5-6-9, because the low is weak and the high is pretty marginal, right? So yeah, just one of those situations where I think it's not going to be in your best interest. Ooh, stud indicator. I'll have a look at that. Yeah, actually, one of the groups I'm part of. Oh, I like that. Yes, I'm definitely gonna have a look at that after I get off stream. One of the poker groups I'm part of, Anzac. It's kind of bizarre. I'm a Canadian who's part of an Australian, New Zealand military poker group, but I'm a Canadian civilian. Let's put it that way, Canadian civilian who's part of an Australian, New Zealand military poker group. But it was just kind of a weird series of events that got me chatting with a bunch of the guys, and they invited me to the group. But they actually sent me some links for a couple of Omaha and Stud specific HUDs, so I'll have to have a look at that. Yeah, it does look awesome. I just had a quick look at the web page, and just what I saw from there in 30 seconds looks totally awesome for a stud player. Alrighty, Table Dog is all in. Looks like Table Dog is done for the day. Ooh, might take the high. Yes, just sucks out the high there on 7th Street. Alrighty, all those pretty green cards and all those pretty low cards. I think we're definitely getting involved in this pot. It's sadly not low or green. So even if 2503 has hit his low, I'm still drawing to a better low because he's on an 8. Pair of nines does not beat Don's pair of aces. And that 6 in a 2503's hand might well have killed our low possibilities. But I think I've got to call and see 7th at this point. I'm deep enough in that I don't really have a whole lot of... Oh, that's just the worst 7th in the world. That's just absolutely the worst 7th in the world. And sadly, I can't. I've got nothing that I can call with. My 9s are beat by his aces, and I got no low, so I'm stuck out on 7th Street with nothing there, which is going to happen from time to time when you're chasing hands, which I tend to do. That's one of my strategies in the high-low, is that it does pay off in a fixed limit game to be calling a lot and chasing hands, because when you hit them, you're going to pull in really big pots, and when things start to go wrong, you can get away from them if you know what you're doing. So I'm 86th currently. See how our friend Jamie is 119th with 47.23, so he's doing okay as well. The suited ace is always going to be something that appeals to you to a certain degree in a stud context, but I think with the limited low possibilities there, we're going to get rid of that. Well, yeah, the king makes that pretty much unplayable in that hand, I think. What's left in this now? Down to 199, so we're under 200 left in the tournament. Looks like Table Dog's putting his stack on the line for this one. Wow. And he scoops it. Scoops it with the straight. That sounds great, Hammer. I'm definitely going to look into it after the stream is over. Huh, that's interesting. The first line on their website says stud indicator supports limit, no limit, pot limit, stud, high, high, low, and Raz games. I had no idea there was any such thing as no limit or pot limit stud variants. I've never seen one dealt or played. It's always been limit. Everything I've seen. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna grab that. Obviously not going to be involved in the King Queen 4 very much. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you know, once you've decided to chase on 4th to 5th Street, by the time you get to 6th Street, you're looking at the pot odds going, well, you know, how can I afford not to continue chasing at this point, right? So yeah, it's an advantage of limit games, but it's also a trap that you can fall into when you're playing limit games pretty easily. To chase, 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 and miss, and chase, 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 and miss, and chase, 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 and miss. Um, Yeah, well, this is one of those spots where I could keep chasing my low, or I could keep trying, but I mean, I'm clearly going to be behind most of the time, so just got to fold. Eat the losses and be done with it. Move on. 983, I think I'll be getting rid of that. If it folds around to me, I might try a completion just to take it down now, but I don't think I'm getting involved if anybody else opens the pot. Yeah, so I think when Chris completes with the ace, there's really no reason for me to even think about getting involved in the hand, so I'm gonna fold out here. Pair of fives, jack, diamonds. Nah. Ooh, that would be super nice. Keeping track of the folded cards. That's my one. That's my one weak. That's the one chink in my armor in stud is that I'm horrible at tracking the cards that people fold. But you do ace 7-10 at the suited ace. I think that's. I'm obviously not thrilled with the low possibilities with the 7 ace there, but I think the suited ace, and even being semi-connected, it's just something that it's too strong for me to get, away from. That said, not something that you want to go super crazy on. Yes, you can potentially take these down pre-flop, but I'm so early in position that it's not going to happen very often, and you're just opening yourself up to get re-raised and pushed off the pot. So here I can call, almost certainly expect Max Scam to close the betting with a call and go to 4th Street, which comes up pretty nicely for us on 4th Street. Although there's a crap load of other diamonds out here, which is a little disturbing for the fact that we're drawing 2 diamonds. But it does hit our low, so, we're not in a great spot at this point. Um, let's step back for a second and consider this. We're potentially tied with Max Scam, but a card behind. Most likely ahead of other people drawing on their lows, but also a card behind. Yeah, I'm going to get out of the way there. I mean, I think that I could obviously chase with those, but it's just not going to work out well, I think, very often. Yeah, tracking those folded cards would be a godsend, I think, for me. I think that would really help my stud game. We'll fold our 8-6 on the prem table that you can't see, so I don't know why I'm telling you about it. Four, four, seven, I think, is a hand I'm going to get involved with. If it folds around to me, I'm putting raise in here pretty much all the time. Once Table Dog comes in and calls the bring in, I don't know that I'm going to complete. Again, I can close the betting with a bring in call, and I think that that's the best thing to do is close the betting and move on to 4th Street and see what happens there. What happens there is we get a bad card. It seems to be a fairly common thing for us to have happen on 4th and 5th Street lately. So I think we're just going to get out of the way again. Sadly, this is just another one of those spots in the stud variants where, um, the cards just don't work for you. There's really nothing you can do to make them work for you. Yeah, that's definitely one of the weak spots in my armor for sure. I know that there are times when I'm chasing stuff that I really shouldn't be chasing because there's been, chasing flushes, especially when there's been a bunch of flush cards already folded out that I've forgotten about. And so those spots I think are something that I could definitely use some help with. Just move to a new table in the middle of the blind, so we're going to get a bit of a break because we won't play the next hand either. We'll play it'll be one more hand before we play. Ace 3-6. It's a little rainbowy, so that's not great, but otherwise it's a pretty darn strong stud high low hand. So I think we're getting involved with that. This is our first hand on this table as well, so people are going to be paying some attention to our. Now when Demerick here has raised, but he's got such a tiny stack. I think I'm going to definitely get involved still here. This is potentially going to be a massive pot. Pretty sure that Demerick's going to push his stack in if we check to him, so I think that's going to be the strategy for most people at the table here. Check to Demerick, let him put a stack in, or if you're a small stack like OKs, you might want to try to fold him out, but seems unlikely that Demerick at this point is going to do anything but the shove. And I think that I can't really do anything other than call here and see what 5th Street brings. Yeah, unfortunately, I think with this 5th Street, I have to get out of the way when there's betting because I'm still drawing runner to my low draw, and although those cards don't play for my low draw, they also don't really play for a high very much, no matter what comes, unless I go runner for the king queen straight. So, like I had said in a previous hand, I am drawing dead on one of my hands, either low or high. So I think getting out of the way here is the best strategy. Nice hammer. I'll definitely keep that in mind. That's pretty much the way that I feel about Hold'em Manager 2 that I'm using now. I bought it about 2 years ago now, and it has been awesomely updated all the time. It just doesn't cover anything other than Hold'em and Omaha, but A6 King. That's a fairly decent hand in this context. Demonek, it does seem to be liking his raises. He took half the previous pot with a couple of pairs, which means get out of the way on this one. But we're definitely he's definitely playing a pretty aggro strategy. Although he definitely had the hand to do it there. But unfortunate, he had Demonek definitely had the strongest hand off the start there. Three, four, five is one of the stronger stud high-low hands you can start with. Probably even better than rolled up, because rolled up is hurting your low hand. This is giving you all sorts of, the other way this could be better is if they were all suited, obviously, but the 7 even plays in, although it's a gut shot now, but the 7 even plays into my straights now, so I'm pretty happy still. The 10 bites, but I've got this far in. I can't really do anything other than continue for now. Fuck. Well, Garls has no low. David has no low. Neither do I, but David's drawing to a better low than I am. I just don't think that I can do anything other than be involved in this pot. That was obviously the worst thing that could have happened to me on 6th Street, but oh well. Looks like we could be busting this tournament now with that horrible 6th Street draw, but I could get out of the way at this point, but I think too much of my stack is in the middle, and this is too big of a pot, and I still have a reasonable chance to take half this pot. So I think that the only thing to do is put all my money in and hope for the best. Because I've got a flush draw that I'm working on now. So, well, that's a nice card for my low at least. So I've got a reasonable, nice. So we're gonna split. That was good. I'm pretty happy with that. I was a little nervous once I saw the 6th Street that came down, but once you make that sort of decision, you've just got to start. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, Hammer. That actually, yeah, that's exactly why I need to be seeing what cards have been folded, and why I need to be paying more attention to that. And it's gonna bump my stud high low game, I think, up into another level. And not wanting to brag too much, but I already think that my stud high low game is at a pretty high level. So I think that adding that to the game is probably gonna be a pretty good plus EV move for me, I would guess. I don't know if you'd call that last hand a suck out necessarily. I mean, I think that I knew I was drawing to a good hand. Once David checks on 6th Street when he hits the 2 there, I know that he has not hit his low draw, because if that 2 makes his low, he's betting that 100% of the time. I mean, and if he's not, he's a complete idiot, which I've seen no evidence to support the fact he's a complete idiot. Um, so when he checks there, I know that that 2 has paired something. Um, yeah, I don't know. I like to be involved in a lot of pots and see how it develops in the early streets and make my decisions at that point. I guess if I was to put it in Texas Hold'em terms, I'm the kind of guy who really likes to play post flop. So maybe like a sort of a grinder kind of guy that isn't really going to make a whole lot of weird moves pre-flop, but is always going to want to be calling you to see what how his hand develops after the flop. That's kind of the way that I play my stud game. 3 cards is not enough to decide if I should fold or play a stud hand, in my opinion. 4 cards is enough to decide whether I should be playing or folding um, a hand. But but yeah, I think on 3, I'm going to be seeing a lot of fourth streets. That's really what if I've got any sort of value with my first 3 cards, I'm going to want to be seeing a lot of fourth streets. Still a pretty nice little bit of binkage for us there. It wasn't full binkage, but I'm pretty happy with that level of binkage on that one. This one's looking pretty good as well. 7-3 deuce with the 3 spades. I don't think I can go anywhere. And I actually think that Dominic is going to make a lot of mistakes if we play aggressive towards him. He's either going to fold too much or he's going to call too much. Um, it's a little bit, I know it's a little bit contradictory for me to put it that way, but I think that both of those are true of him. He's going to fold too much and he's going to call too much. Um, so things are obviously not going the best for us in this draw. Um, that gives him a pair of aces, which definitely means that even our high is compromised now. I don't think we can go any farther with that. Unfortunately, we have to give him a bunch of chips. So that was just unfortunate the way that goes. I'd have to know what he was holding to know whether the way he played that was good or not. I guess at the end of the day, he got our chips, so that works. But I mean, I think that I'm going to continue the strategy of playing aggressive against Dominic when he's in pots with me. With very limited low possibilities, I like the ace king of clubs, obviously, but I'm just going to get rid of that. It's probably a nitty fold, but pair of kings. Those are deceptively weaker than they appear in high-low games, especially when you've got a 9 to go along with it, because I'm not getting a low here no matter what happens. I literally can't draw low, period. Um, but I also think that the kings are just too strong of a high hand to get away from. So I think we've got to go. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think at that point when I'm down to the 715 chips or whatever it was, there's just no way I can get away from things there. Um, we don't actually want to see any low cards on this hand because we have no low possibilities at all. So everything we want to see is face cards and big. So this 4 is pretty crappy for us. But I still think that the kings are just going to be too strong for half the pot at this point for me to get out of the way. You know, I'm not believing the flush here because of the two hearts here. I'm not really believing that he's on 4 hearts at this point. I mean, maybe he is, but I'm not really believing that. So I think that my kings are still good. I think he's betting on his low draws there more than his highs. The 6 doesn't work from a 6 point of view, but from a club point of view, it gives us a few more backdoor possibilities, which I'm, you know, never hate having. I'm going to try to fold some people out here. I don't think it's going to happen very often. And maybe with that heart there, it was probably not the time to do that. Do I believe that he has hearts? Do I believe that he has hearts? No, I think he's playing that like he's hit his low hand. This might be the mistake that costs me the tournament. Oh, oh, that's brutal. Oh, that is so brutal. Oh, oh my God, I cannot believe he hit a deuce for 3 of a fucking kind deuces on 7th Street there. That is just brutal. I mean, really. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just disgusted by that. That is just brutal. I mean, it's poker, right? What are you gonna do? But that is just the most brutal thing in the world. That is gross. And here we are on coming up on the stream right now to watch it. Lovely. Right, we're all in with our ace 3 hearts and the queen. Not much else we can do at this point. That was just the most brutal thing in the world. Lovely. Lovely. And that's us done for the miniFTOPS in 143rd spot. I don't know. I guess all you got to do is laugh at something like that because you know, in this hand that's showing right now, I'm gonna keep talking about this while it goes on because in this hand that's going on now, I think I made all the right decisions. I mean, I didn't believe he had hearts, and he didn't. I believe my kings were ahead, and they were. Now, I thought he was on a low hand, but I mean, it's just the most brutal thing in the world when you make the right calls in the marginal spots like that, and then 7th just comes down and just smacks you across the head with a big 2x4. So, yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's funny. I'm gonna actually commentate this hand a second time because I'm commentating it while I'm playing it. Now I'm gonna commentate it after knowing the result, which is fine because you're not hearing this until after you know the result as well. So, but yeah, so I'm actually watching the stream play out now with the hand that crushed me with the where I had king king and made the marginal play. Um, on 7th Street. And that's the point. I mean, that is just so gross. That is just so gross. Alrighty, well, that is me done for the stream. I think I'm gonna go play some sats for the dailies, so I might be back later if I win a daily sat. But yeah, you know that's gonna happen in these tournaments, and you're just gonna have to deal with those situations. So thanks for coming and hanging out with me. We'll catch you later. I'm out.